Hello and welcome to Eat Sleep Code, the official Telerik podcast. I'm your host, Ed Charbeneau, and with me is my good friend, John Bristowe. How are you doing, John?
I'm well. I hope everyone else is doing great.
Let's talk about TypeScript. Learn to unleash the full potential of the Turing complete type system of TypeScript.
Yeah, this was a site created
Okay.
by Gabriel Vornad. I believe I got his Vornad, I guess is his name. He's basically created this site quite a while ago. He's working on it still. And basically, type level TypeScript is, as it says, an online course to take your TypeScript skills to the next level. And so lots of really good lessons. So if you're into TypeScript and you're wondering, how to take advantage, etc., in a better way, this is an online course that you can take and check out some of the things that he's obviously put in there, which is great. So he announced this, I think, earlier this week, and so he's basically leveraging it for utilizing the type system of TypeScript more effectively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is probably really good stuff, especially if you're coming from JavaScript and you're not used to type systems. Us .NET devs, we know how these
Fast
things
and
work
loose.
pretty well. They're a little bit different in TypeScript, but they're similar, very similar in many ways. So it's not too foreign. Some of the syntax is a little bit odd comparative to C#, but yeah. I mean, I could get in here and read the code and understand most of what's happening without knowing exactly what the syntax is. It looks like a pretty good exercise here.
Yep.
It looks like they're live exercises too, and the solutions are included too.
Correct.
It's pretty neat. I like.
Yeah, you do
like it. Good stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a lot of language stuff to talk about, John.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw this headline. This came out of a tweet from Mark Russinovich at Microsoft. He's Azure CTO, and he was basically saying it's time to start setting aside C and C++. Oh, I love how it just jumped straight into the tweet there. And follow with the appropriate meme here, and use Rust for non-global or garbage collecting languages. So he's saying Rust is the go-to now over C++.
Well, good luck writing drivers, I guess, but
good luck writing drivers.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about the Rust ecosystem is that there aren't a lot of crates relative to, say, NPM and other package management repositories. So I could be wrong about that, but it certainly seems like there is a lot of interest in Rust for a variety of reasons. I think that Rust has its merits for writing parts of your system in a secure manner. The thing about Rust is it will take you kicking and screaming into a very, very, very strong type system. And there will be a lot of compiler checks that will basically, drive you batty, but it will help mitigate a lot of the security and potentially performance issues that can arise. I do know that there are companies like 1Password that use Rust for certain parts of their systems. Other companies use Rust for other things as well. I do know that Rust is the basis of, a lot of, runtime environments like you see with WASM, for example, like the WebAssembly. So, yeah, there's definitely merits. Small runtime, great compilation, fast, super fast. So lots of merits.
Yeah, I think why drivers kind of struck me as odd is the context here. Mark Russinovich is CTO of Azure, so I think this is more in the context of cloud computing.
Oh, sure.
So it's kind of saying this is the next place to go. Rust is the next big thing, and it looks like there's some research being put into this as well on Microsoft's side. It's been going on for quite some time. It's a pretty good read here for those that might be new to what's happening with Rust. It's definitely worth looking at. That one's up on the register. But yeah, I saw the tweet go. I think this was early last a couple days ago, just earlier in the week. And I was like, yeah, that's going to cause some discussion.
Right.
This was a link you shared, John. JQP, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Is that short for something?
JQ is a very popular utility
Mhm.
for Mac and Linux. It's basically a utility that you'll run in the shell to query JSON structures and do some really interesting queries against them. So in that context, you can do a lot of really powerful things, but sometimes it gets kind of confusing because JSON documents can get quite large, and you have to scroll back and up and down and up and down and try and figure out what was that element, what am I looking for, et cetera, et cetera. So what JQP is, and this is mentioned, we've mentioned this on the show before. This is a Charm-based terminal UI. So it's built on Charm in Go, and it basically provides a side-by-side view of JQ. So on the left, you'll have your JSON document. On the right, you'll have your query result, and you can scroll back and forth and see, how did I get this result? And the reason why this is useful is because JQ-based queries are notoriously difficult to write sometimes, but it's an incredibly powerful utility. So this little utility is a terminal UI utility that allows you to see that quite easily.
Yeah, and I like this is built with, and it's got some of your favorite things, like it, bubble tea, bubbles, lip gloss. Chroma. This is very hipster stuff here, by the way. I know I say that every time, but gotta love the names.
I like it.
I like it too. It's a good deal. systemnd support now available with WSL.
Yes.
Windows subsystem for Linux.
Yeah, this is actually quite interesting, actually. So systemd is it's like a suite of components that are typically for Linux, and you'll typically see like things like there's a variety of components that you'll see built into systemd or rely on systemd. And what this does, it basically unlocks a bunch of capabilities within WSL. So I think they list some examples in this blog post here where they say a few examples of Linux applications that depend on systemd. And if you just scroll down a little bit, you can see some of the ones are Snap, micro Kubernetes, and then system control, basically. So yeah, these and other utilities are typically heavily reliant on systemd to do their work, and so this is now supported as part of this project for WSL, which is cool.
Yeah, I can see this being handy with dev stuff, especially with the Kubernetes support.
Yeah, this is pretty big.
Yeah. This is like a Minecraft Inception. What is this? I made Minecraft in Minecraft with redstone.
So what they did was they spent 7 months building a CPU GPU in Minecraft blocks so they can run Minecraft within Minecraft. And this is a video of it. So they basically created a CPU from scratch using Minecraft blocks and redstone, et cetera, to create. And you'll see it in a second here. Right after this, you can see this is the thing they built. That's the RAM. That's the memory.
It's a physical computer here.
Yes, it's a physical computer in so hardware acceleration units. Then there's the graphics memory. And then eventually they have there's the graphics processor. Then they have eventually an LED or CRT, depending on your definition. And that's the pixel screen. So that's 96 by 64.
Oh my
and then there's a PS4 style controller. And then they basically run this thing and they turn it on. And then they're running Minecraft within Minecraft. So it's Inception, basically.
How do you debug something like this?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Anyways, that's Minecraft rendering right there. So that's Minecraft right there. Breaking blocks, dropping items. So
wow. Yeah. But can it play Doom, John?
I don't know. Maybe. So yeah, that's what they did.
That's wild.
Yes.
The amount of time people invest in some of these hobby projects is just astonishing. It never ceases to amaze me.
Hey, kudos to them. I thought they did great.
No, I mean, I bet they learned a lot by doing it. It's definitely an exercise to do something like this. This is pretty impressive, man. I know I couldn't do it. This is just wild. WASM reaches 1.0, fast, safe, and production ready. Wasmtime, sorry, not WASM, but Wasmtime. What is a Wasmtime?
It's like a runtime basically. So it's a Wasmtime WebAssembly runtime. So it's a I believe they built this in. Did they build this in Rust? Yeah, they did. This is a Rust-based runtime environment for WASM-based, well, for WebAssembly basically. So it's it comes. There's a CLI you can use to integrate with it, yeah. So they've hit 1.0. Now, because of Wasmtime being obviously multilingual, you can embed a variety of different projects. So language support includes Rust, C, C++, Python, .NET, and Go. So, and it describes what is a Wasmtime, or rather, what is it essentially? So it's a standalone WASM only optimizing runtime engine for WebAssembly and WASI. It runs WebAssembly code outside of the web and can be used as a command line utility or a library embedded in a larger application.
This is definitely interesting. WebAssembly seems like it is slowly becoming the future of everything.
Sure.
Just,
well,
it's
I've often
taking
touted,
over.
yeah, I've often touted the fact that it's great for a plugin sort of host because it's secure and it gives you multilingual for the win, et cetera, et cetera. So there's different ways in which people are approaching this. So, for example, Go approaches this with a super awesome compiler, cross compilation. WebAssembly targets this by providing basically a universal substack upon all languages. Rust has a similar sort of mechanism around compilation. So it's kind of different. And then you've got Docker and you've got, things like that where, so it's definitely approaching the problem from a variety of different angles.
And it's open source. You can jump on GitHub and see how it's how the sausage is made.
Yes.
There's all the language
so
support you're talking about there.
Kind of as the basis. Yeah, you can use this as kind of the basis of building out a plugin model for your applications if you wanted. That could be built targeting WebAssembly as the underlying substructure.
Interesting.
Which is kind of cool.
.NET's rolling along. We're at release candidate. Can you believe it's that time of year already? Because it's September 21st. The release of .NET 7 is slated for November. So right. I mean, it's been a year almost to the date of .NET 6 release. So here we are with the release candidate of .NET 7 and MAUI in .NET 7. So there was some celebration here about getting MAUI up to this level. We've got some new components and things that come with it, some mapping utilities, improvements around the desktop, some flyout menu components, tooltips, gestures. These are things we've been seeing slowly build up over the year with all of the preview releases. Now we're at the release candidate level. That means you can kind of get started using it. It's not going to change much. There's not going to be a lot of breaking changes. There may be some, but it's a release candidate, so they're trying to get to no breaking changes after this.
Yes.
So you might see a couple RCs, might not. Depends on how stable it is. So It looks like we're in a pretty good spot. You can start jumping on that release candidate and checking it out.
Nice.
And if you've got an app that you're starting a greenfield, you might be able to run with it. The same with the ASP.NET Core. Release candidate 1 shipped of that as well. Lots of Blazor stuff in there. We can just run through the title part of the page here, but we've got Blazor WebAssembly debugging improvements. So there was some things that were still kind of not transparent when you were debugging in WebAssembly. It's just like 2D arrays, things like that. You just couldn't inspect deep enough inside of some of those things. So there's some improvements along that. .NET WebAssembly build tools for .NET 6 projects, a compatibility thing. There's also this .NET JavaScript interop on WebAssembly. We'll actually dive into that one for a minute because that's pretty interesting. Kind of goes with the WebAssembly runtime stuff we just talked about. So let's dive into that in a minute. faster HTTP2 uploads, HTTP3 improvements. I don't know. Wasn't aware of this one. Experimental open API support for gRPC and JSON transcoding. Rate limiting. We heard about that one a couple months back. That is in the release candidate. Everybody seems to be pretty happy about that. Mac OS dev cert improvements. So if we scroll down, I want to touch on the WebAssembly stuff, because the interop, when you hear WebAssembly and interop in the context of ASP.NET Core, people automatically assume Blazor. Now, what I got from reading this is a kind of the WebAssembly stuff or the JavaScript interop stuff that we have in Blazor. People want to use that without Blazor. So they took the dependency of Blazor out of it. So if you look in here, it says the functionality of .NET without any dependency on the Blazor UI component model.
Gotcha. So just the runtime.
Just the .NET runtime in the browser with no baggage. If you want to do .NET and write JavaScript, but you don't necessarily want to use the Blazor UI framework, you can actually just write your .NET apps for the browser, period. So
this is definitely peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah.
Or nuts and gum, depending on your definition.
But I mean, this opens up a lot of possibilities.
They're using that's hilarious. It's like JS import, JS export. This is like p invoke and DLL imports and things like that we've had forever.
Yeah. So that interop is now not just a Blazor thing. And
yes,
there are some people that are dabbling with this. I wanted kind of get with a coworker of mine, Alyssa. She's been doing some stuff with Angular and trying to work with WebAssembly from Angular without really doing Blazor. And I think this is a way of getting there. So it totally looks like it'd be doable for that scenario. So
right.
Don't know what persona that actually fits, but she's interested in learning more about it and making those kind of Franken apps work. So
Yep.
It's not always because you should, but because you can. And it'll be fun to experiment with. I mean, like, did we really need to recreate Minecraft in Minecraft? No, but it was fun, right? So
Sure.
let's do some .NET WASM and Angular and see what happens.
I like it.
I don't know if I shared this before, but we've shared a lot of tools that are similar, things that help, artists, whether they're musicians or graphic artists, assisting with AI to make things happen. This is a JavaScript-based tool that does some AI to pull colors out of an image and create like a color palette. So I thought that was pretty cool. I think you can kind of do this with some Azure cognitive services as well, but this is a JavaScripty way to do it. So nice. You can kind of point this thing at an image and it's going to pull you a nice color palette from that image. So it does a pretty good job here too. So, you could do some pretty useful stuff with this, depending on how quick this is. I would imagine it doesn't take too long to run an image through this. So if you have like a photo app or something you want to adjust, maybe a social media app has photos in it, you want to adjust the UI to kind of match the images to make a nice user experience. The image pops up and you have this color palette, maybe some of the buttons or UI elements around it change to kind of mimic that mood that is being set.
Right.
I think it's a pretty neat idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that D and boards. They're Dutch music band. D and board or something like that. They have a new music video called Age of Illusion that's entirely generated. Well, not entirely, but the images are generated using AI and graphical artists stitched them all together. It's actually pretty trippy. So
yeah,
they're using it a lot.
What's nice about this is I talked to some people about stuff like this before, and they're like, well, can't you just grab like a color out of the palette of the image? And it's not quite the same. It doesn't give you actual like color palette when you do something like that. You can mistakenly get like all similar colors. It wouldn't necessarily give you a palette, just random colors from within the image. This actually gives it a little bit more intelligence, and it picks groupings of colors that work well together, stuff like that. It's a little more intelligent than just an algorithm that says, okay, there's a high frequency of this pink color, so therefore we have a palette. This actually does a little bit more work than that. So it's nice. Very nice.
I like it.
There was some Apple news last week as well.
Yes, just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. More iPhone stuff, more Apple Watch stuff. I don't watch Apple too closely, but it's all the chatter on the interwebs about the iPhone 14. Looks like you did too. I think you added this one. And this is from iFixit. So I'm taking it, this is the part of fixing the iPhone they made easier.
Well, they always do this when a new iPhone comes out or a new whatever. They always tear it down. And as the first sentence in this article says, the best feature of the iPhone 14 is the one that Apple didn't tell you about. And what they did was they took the Apple 14 and broke it down, and then they discovered that it's actually quite repairable. So they actually went from a rating of Apple's iPhone, a repairability rating of like 1 or 2 to 7. The iPhone 14 is the biggest change in terms of repairability since the iPhone 14 is the biggest improvement in terms of repairability since the iPhone 7. That's what they state in this video, which is a welcome change. So typically in the iPhone, if you break the back glass or something, it's like a super expensive repair. Certain components are hard to get to, etc. Now you can open up the case from both sides, which is awesome. And it looks like they've redesigned it to try and be as repairable as, say, an Android device. So repairs should go a lot quicker.
This works in two different ways here. The repairs being easier, first of all, makes it cheaper to repair, which is nice for the consumer.
Yes.
And whenever something is cheaper, it's usually more sustainable to repair, right? So this means less e-waste, because phones that wouldn't be repaired normally are getting repaired.
Yeah, and these things don't end up in the bottom of an ocean, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I definitely appreciate this, as being a feature of the phone, when Apple's kind of been notorious for having such proprietary standards around things that cause additional waste and lack of repair.
Cough, lack of USB-C connector.
Yes, yeah, there's a laundry list we won't go through, but this is a step in the right direction for reducing these things. See, this is something I see as pro-consumer, where they've had kind of an anti-consumer stance for quite a many years.
That's kind of ironic you say that, because they're one of the most consumer-focused centric companies on the planet.
They claim that. They claim that. I don't believe that one bit whatsoever, but
yes,
claiming something and acting different ways.
So I am not ashamed to say that I have some history in this department. That's all I'll say. I've repaired things in the past, and anything that allows me to repair devices is a welcome change for me. So I've repaired boxes of technology gadgets here and there and everywhere, and anytime because I have kids, when things break, you don't want to have to replace it with a brand new one you would like to repair. So this is a welcome change.
Another positive note on the updates last week, the Apple Watch Ultra was released.
I will never get this. My life is not this exciting.
So your spin on is quite different from mine. I would
love to have it, but it's just
I don't have an Apple Watch, but I think these are definitely something that we'll see a lot of in the future. I know you're
Wearables,
saying
yes.
like I don't have a reason for it, but there's one thing. I mean, we can scroll through all this other nonsensical stuff.
Yes.
And, these are all nice have. Sure,
Yes.
you can take it in the mountains, and it's got 2 ways to do GPS, and this is where it starts getting interesting. So this is the Apple Ultra versus an actual heart rate monitor that's strapped to the chest. And they're doing a comparison here to see what the delta is between an actual heart rate monitor versus the
So
watch.
it's almost the same.
And you don't see a lot of deviation between the two. There are 2 colored lines here. This may be pretty hard to see on stream. It's actually pretty hard to see here right on my monitor. I mean, I can zoom way in, and the fact that you barely see that there's 2 lines there indicates that the Apple
accurate.
Watch is pretty darn accurate. I mean,
yes,
yeah, that's definitely a positive thing. And then it gets more into like the mapping and dual frequency GPS. This is where it really shines again, though.
Yeah.
Car crash detection, ECG, temperature sensor. And then if you read into this a little bit more, it's text things like low heart rate, fall detection, or emergency SOS, international emergency calling, car crash. This is very important. Like, this is a reason to have a device like this. So, especially if you're elderly, you're prone to maybe falling. You don't have somebody living with you that can help if you do fall. There are devices that are meant to help with stuff like this, but they're usually very expensive. They require an expensive subscription, and they're unitaskers. Like, that's literally all they do is give you, like, everybody's seen, at least from my generation, has seen the I've fallen and I can't get up commercial. You have to be physically able to press that emergency thing to get that, notification off and get help. Catherine's like, life alert. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. This has those capabilities in it, so you're going to see, a set of unitasking devices get kind of brought into one multitasking thing that you can wear. That's not bulky. It has good battery lifetime, and it can do more than just alert somebody. You get the car crash and all that stuff with it. I think this is a very good thing. I hope to see more companies get these type of features. Fitbit's, it's behind a little bit on some of this stuff. It doesn't quite go beyond they have the ECG, which is nice. Something I was actually using this morning. These are all really good things to have health-wise that aren't just like exercise related, hiking related, type of things, but more mainstream usable things.
Yeah,
I
I'm a fan of the change. The reason why I think they're clearly going after Garmin here, because a lot of marathon runners, ultra marathon runners, were using Apple Watches, and they would be dead by the time, not them, but the watch. They would be dead by the time the marathon was over. So it didn't have enough battery life. So they had to increase the thickness, and I guess they figured, well, if we're increasing the thickness, we can also increase the rigidity and the toughness of the watch itself. So we'll call it an ultra, and we'll make it mountain oriented. It also has a built-in dive computer, which is super awesome for, I'm a scuba diver myself, and being able to use this down to, say, 100 feet is super awesome, because dive computers are not cheap. And so being able to monitor your O2 levels, NO2 levels rather, et cetera, would be super useful.
Yeah, and the price tags, I guess it's reasonable. $800. It's pretty expensive, but then when you start talking about all of the health implications and things, and you said, dive monitor is an expensive device. Maybe it's not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. We'll have to see, but yeah, it's it's definitely a step in the right direction there. Sorry, I got a little bit of noise coming in the background here.
The dogs agree.
Overall positive. This is just purely to troll you, John. I know how much you love these VR devices.
Why are we doing this?
This looks like a nightmare.
Or whatever.
This looks like an absolute nightmare here.
Yes.
So we've got this new device called YouTalk. And I guess the idea behind the device is to add this to your VR experience. So other people can't hear you talking except for the ones that are in VR with you, the people that you're talking to. So you wear this contraption over your mouth and talk into it, and it
this can't
muffles.
Be real.
It muffles.
This is not real. What's the date that this article is published?
You want this to be April 1st. It is September 18th.
This isn't real.
Scream like nobody's listening, John.
This isn't real. I'm putting up a red flag on this. This is not real.
This odd-looking technology is a Bluetooth microphone that prevents your voice from leaking out.
No, I don't buy it.
You won't buy it, or you don't buy it. They have a website. It's got to be real.
And I don't. This is so stupid. This is the stupidest. This is one of the stupider ideas I've seen in a long time. This is so stupid. People actually spent money. People invested money in this idea.
I mean,
this is so stupid.
10 hours of battery life in case you want to wear this all day.
Great. Yeah, great. Can you imagine
cross-platform
that's going to get in there? Ugh. This is so stupid. I don't usually trash things this quickly. This I'm happy to trash. This is the dumbest thing I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, somebody clip that so we next time we have a show and he starts trashing stuff immediately, we'll know. I did this on purpose. 10
out of 10 on the stupidness scale. This is so stupid.
I mean,
this isn't real. This company can't. This is not a real company. Don't do this to me, Ed. This is not a real company. What are they doing? Are they just throwing up a bunch of ideas up against the wall and see what sticks?
I mean,
Drink shift. Good. A robot. Like, what is this? Combines smartphone app and proprietary refrigerator.
Automatically detects the inventory of beer in the fridge.
Yeah, this is so. What are we doing? All this stuff is going to end up in the ocean. It's like, what
are they selling?
Okay, let's not do this. I'm getting more and more upset when I want to. They have the gall. They have the gall to put a workbench in their graphic to make them appear like they're actually doing craftsmanship and stuff. This is whatever.
Now I'm picturing Catherine in the corner, just like bouncing around in VR.
Now, if you combine that mouth thing with Trombone Champ, you've got a hit.
There you go. That's an inside joke. We didn't share that. We were not live yet. There's a game.
But we have to talk about it now. Come on, Trombone Champ. Let's go. It's the magnum opus of the trombone rhythm games.
Yes. Actually, I think Catherine would probably be good at this.
This is the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. And I would actually, this made me laugh so hard that I thought that, yes, I might actually be tempted to get this. So Trombone Champ is this new game that you play, and it sounds, when you get the note, it's actually funnier to get the notes wrong because it sounds so ridiculous. And it is so funny. It is so funny to listen to people screw up that it's almost worth buying it.
I know my friends and coworkers. I said Catherine be wanting to play this, and sure enough, she's seen it and has it on her wish list.
I saw one clip of this. I said I would totally get this, and I would do it for a drunk party with my friends and just listen to the absolute horror show of people trying to nail these notes, because the trombone's a hilarious instrument. If you get things wrong, it sounds hilarious. And I think this is a great idea. Whoever came up with this idea is a genius, is a goddamn genius. So, yes. Sorry. So, yes.
Is genius is the people that made the cake I showed you earlier?
That's right. Yes, that's right. So you combine Trombone Champ with that mouth ball thing you put in your mouth. I don't know what this thing is.
There you go. It does look like looks like a ball gag for VR.
Yes, I know. Whatever.
Oh man.
Ugh.
I had to share that with you, John. I knew you'd appreciate it more than anybody.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You could have nightmares about that now. This was an interesting one. We talked about GitHub's Arctic Vault before. So they got really artsy fartsy with this one, and they etched. They said, might as well make it beautiful. So they did. So they
really missed out on doing the Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark motif here, where it's like, where's this code going? It's being looked after by top men. And then they got the motif where the guy's like pushing the GitHub repository in this massive warehouse, you know.
I couldn't be in charge of something like this without absolutely just trolling the future people who discover it. And like, you know, we claim that we're putting all of the Earth's valuable source code in here, but it's really just trombone.
Trombone Champ.
Trombone Champ when they open it up.
I really hope
the device
my code gets in there. Yeah.
In the VR mount device.
Yes, the VR mount device. Let's just put all the bad ideas, that flying machine thing that you showed me, the metaverse. Let's put everything in here and just bury it, just like the ET cartridges from the 80s. You know. So, yes, Catherine asked a great question. What would you put in a time capsule with the Earth's worst ideas?
Oh man,
this is like a Teddy Ruxpin. The speak and spell. What else can we chuck in there? You know, this like a gremlin, an Etzel, you know, various cars and stuff. You know, the clapper. There's all kinds of the ET video game, all these things. Yeah, just one horrific idea after another.
The Wii, the Switch, Nintendo Switch controller. How about that?
The Zune, a brown Zune. Awesome ideas.
The Fire TV stick.
Sure.
Tempur-Pedic pillows.
Microwavable bacon. Yep.
I'm just dumping on companies I don't like now.
There's got to be a site for this that's like
that.
badideas.com or something. I don't even know what this site goes to, so please don't go to that domain. But yeah, okay, that's a free domain. But bad technology ideas, and this is like that site that I went to. I Am Better Than Your Kids. There's a site called I Am Better Than Your Kids where he rates children's drawings, and it's absolutely hysterical. But
why do we hate the Nintendo Switch controller?
Yes, the Verge website, the biggest tech flops, etc.
Says the person with very small hands. First of all, Catherine, you have tiny hands. All right, let's not pretend. As a grown-up, it is hard to use a Switch controller, and they are tremendously laggy. Like, they don't ever work right. Like, try playing Smash Brothers on a regular Switch controller. It's terrible. Terrible. So much input lag on those things. And then they drift. So yeah, they fall in my bucket of things to hate on. But that's just me.
Perfect. Love it.
Like, we're ending this show on a low note, aren't we? Like, just dumping on stuff.
We're ending it on a high. On a high. All the trashy
free for all.
We need to start a new show ad called Trashy Tech or something like that. Just hilarious. Like, why did we do this? Because it seems like that's where we get the most fun.
The M1 Mac Mini. That can go in there. We'll take that
Newton.
one.
What else can we put in there?
The Microsoft Band.
Yep. Microsoft Bob.
Clippy.
all these things. Just one
Poor
the
Clippy.
Windows 7 launch party. What else can we mention? Just
Windows
one
7
horrific
launch
idea
party.
after another. Trombone Champ will not be in that box. I guarantee it.
The Adobe Creative Cloud song. I can't see chat. My monitor's going berserk right this minute.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Come on, second monitor.
Check out Trombone Champ.
Completely
I'm very tempted to buy this. This looks absolutely hysterical to me.
My Wi-Fi is completely shot for some reason. So my second
you're fine. You're coming in
remote
fine.
monitor. I'm on hardwire, but my monitor is not. I can actually see what chat's saying. There we go. Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right. We should probably end now. But it was great talking to you as usual, John.
Cheers.
You know, great minds hate alike. So
yes.
Yeah. It was nice talking to you. We'll see you all next week with more live shows. You all have a good one, and we'll talk to you again soon.